I guess I'm first. Hey, Dan.
Hey.
So I wanted to ask you, obviously you reviewed the film. I think through the first three quarters, the wide receivers had like maybe a couple of catches. Was there something FIU was doing? Was there sort of a reason why they couldn't get more involved? I know Manny mentioned this morning that maybe there were some routes that weren't run correctly or something. I don't know. I just want to get your take on it.
Yeah, no, they really didn't do anything that they hadn't seen on tape. Obviously, they did a really good job, but I think early in the game, kind of felt that maybe the quarterback was maybe not like he had been a little bit. So we tried to run the ball a little bit more. I think that was one of the reasons. And we had a little success running the football there in the second quarter. We really only had 4 drives the whole first half. The first drive obviously ended after only 2 plays. Our next drive, we got a first down, and then on 3rd and 6, we ran an option route a little short. So basically, now we're in the second quarter, and then our second 2 drives ended on the 1-yard line, and then on a 4th and 1. So we ran the ball quite a bit on those last 2 drives because we found a little success, and we're trying to get the quarterback back in rhythm. Then again in the third quarter, we were doing the same thing. We threw a pick on the very first play coming out of the half on an RPO, which really wasn't the quarterback's fault on that particular one, and then threw another one on which was a costly mistake on a P&10 that was a poor decision. So we're trying to get him back in rhythm a little bit, and then obviously when the game got more to a point where we needed to start throwing it, actually he seemed to calm down and settle down and played a little bit looser, and then we were able to obviously get those guys involved.
Dan, with Jaron, obviously he's started a few games now. So you've shown him all different kinds of defenses, what they do. How similar was what FIU did to maybe Virginia Tech? Because obviously that was the other game that he struggled in. And are there maybe particular lessons in that particular scheme that he faces that, you kind of had to sort of hammer home with him?
Yeah, I think, no, the schemes aren't similar at all, really. I think it was, the Virginia Tech game was a little bit, I will say, had to do somewhat to do with his arm, his injury, if you will. The ball just wasn't jumping that particular day. And that was one of the reasons why we took him out, if you remember, is because it was like, this isn't 100% because he's not playing well. This is maybe the injury is causing him to not play well. So obviously when a young man's in that situation, you want to get him out. Saturday was a case of, I think, of first and foremost, there was a few plays that, we have, our commandments of playing quarterback. Our first one is never make a premeditated decision, meaning a quarterback's worst enemy is his own head. And that is before the ball snapped, playing the play in your head before the ball snapped and guessing and think where the ball's supposed to go. Does that make sense? So we try to clear the mechanism every play and let the defense dictate where the ball goes. We have movement keys in every play. We have defenders we read every play. And what Jaron did Saturday was a little bit, he predetermined a few times what was going to happen and guessed wrong. And when you're guessing, you're not going to be very efficient. And so between that and also his, we talk a lot about eyes and feet. So where my eyes are going and then how my feet are moving me around in the pocket with my pocket posture, those 2 things cost him a little bit early in the game. We missed a wheel throw on a touchdown because of his pocket posture. His drop was not good. The top of the drop wasn't good. So to me, Saturday was more of an effect of we kind of lost our track of our fundamentals and techniques a little bit. And that's one area where he had been really, really good. From Pitt when he came in, Florida State to Louisville. I mean, and even during the practices, I had commented and showed him all the time, showed him every day, just the improvement of the techniques and the fundamentals and the ABCs of the position that we talk about every single day. And Saturday, when he didn't do that, we weren't very good at quarterback. And when he did do that on the plays, he did do that well, he was pretty good on Saturday. So we just got to get back to just making that more, it's the every down thing rather than, okay, we're going to do it 2 out of 4 times or whatever. So to me, we just had a lack of technique and fundamentals, and we got to get back to basics.
Dan, just wondering on the 2 4th and 1s, for those 2 play calls, Jaron Williams run to the outside and then also the rolling him out for a pass. What was the look that made you feel you wanted to run those 2 plays instead of like a run between the tackles or something?
Well, the first one was the center didn't pull, so we had a misassignment. And the second one, it wasn't a rollout. We were actually running power pass out of an unbalanced set, and the fullback Michael Irvin was actually open in the flat, and we just didn't get him the ball. So. Yes.
I want to ask you about understanding he's a young guy, but Jaren and his growth as a leader, how do you feel like he's doing in that regard now, after game 11, I guess, of the season?
It's I think he's doing a good job. I think that's an area we need to continue to improve on. And actually last night we had a talk, all of us, the whole quarterback room and everything. And I think we need to do a better job as a quarterback room of organizing some extra preparation with our offensive players, especially being such a young offensive team. I think he can take some steps in that regard. I do think he's tried to take steps. I think he's much better at, for example, in practice. He's much better at correcting guys and going to communicate with receivers and tight ends on maybe some things that at the top of a route or based off leverage on a certain route, communicating with the guy where he expects him or where we want him to end up and things like that. So I think that's come with just the confidence of understanding the offense better and everything. So he's grown in that area, but I do think as a young player, as you pointed out, that there's several steps that we can continue to take, and that is something that, again, as his position coach, I'm going to continue to push on him and challenge him with. And through this next game and through the course of our bowl practices, we really, really want to take another giant step in that direction.
Hey, Coach. So Coach Diaz was saying that just like with maybe like the lack of preparation, but just maybe a different approach to preparation this week. Do you feel like Jaren, just with the way he played, did you notice any difference in the way he prepared for this game? Do you think that you were talking about the mistakes of maybe predetermining routes, something that you guys don't do and what you preach? Did you feel like there was a difference this week in how he prepared, maybe because it was FIU and you guys were seeing the sun for the first time, as Coach Diaz would say?
Yeah, I think you'd have to ask Jaren that because, when he was with me, he was like normal. You know what I mean? It was very diligent, notes, awake. I mean, not awake, but I mean alert in meetings. You know what I mean? Like ask questions. So a lot of the preparation occurs when they're because we can only have them for 20 hours during the week. So, and we give them things to work on and do, and Jaren did those things. Because we just check to make sure that they're doing certain things. So. I don't think so. And, from our leader on down, we obviously, I've been involved in these games from both sides of it throughout my career, where I've been on the so-called underdog and won and been on the so-called favorite and lost. You know what I mean? I've been on both sides of those. And so as a coaching staff or as a coach myself, I understand that every game is hard. They're all hard to win. And we knew they were going to be well coached and prepared. And so that was the message sent down to him. But, he had played so well, human nature, and in the last game, complacency sets in sometimes when you have success. And I'm not saying that happened. I'm not saying that at all. But, I mean, we talked about that. One thing I think is really important with coaching this position, and I've said this in here before, is not only handling adversity, but handling success. Handling success is a very, very important part of this position because sometimes – success leads to complacency and leads to a maybe more casualness, and that's something we addressed all last week. And again, I can't speak for him, but I didn't notice any lack of preparation from him. Felt that he was into it and just as enthusiastic and energetic as he had been. And we expected him to play well, and I think he obviously expected to play a great game. And, again, these things happen, and we got to learn from this now, back to now handling adversity, learn from this, and we got to have a great week of preparation this week and get ready to play Duke.
Dan, just kind of when you were reviewing the film, and you probably do this quite a bit with second guessing or looking back on maybe you could have done things differently as a coordinator, play call, anything like that? Were there things that came up when you went back and watched yourself?
Not really. I thought we had a good plan and we didn't execute it at times, but structurally, I thought we had a good plan, like I said, but we didn't execute. And obviously, we always look at what we did and how we can do better, and we'll certainly continue to do that.
Coach Diaz had said on Saturday, I guess you guys met in the third quarter, you and him, talk about maybe making a change at quarterback. I guess when you guys discuss those things, when a guy's struggling like that, what ultimately is the trigger to do it? I
don't know if there's an exact formula for it.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, we had, decided that Jaren was our starter. We had gone with him. He played really well. We wanted to, give him the opportunity to kind of work his way through it and learn from it and continue to grow and have this be a good learning lesson for him and see if we could somehow battle us back, which he did, meaning we got back into the game there towards the end and he played much better. But I don't know if there's an exact formula for it other than the fact that, Coach Diaz, I think, has had a really, really good feel for this. You know, being his first time as a head coach, he's been great this year as far as just communication and clock management and handling of the players and all that type of thing. And I think you know, we both kind of decided like, hey, let's just let this guy try to work through this situation right now.
Just as a quick follow-up, I guess, to end it, I guess Jaren is still the guy, obviously, this week. You know, is that kind of what the plan you guys are going into this week with?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.